Okay, let me get straight to the point. In Spider-Man Brand New Day, Peter Parker is transforming. That part is locked. They showed it to us right there in the trailers. But what he's actually turning into, that's still a huge question mark. And there are basically three answers floating around, three ways this could go down. Answer 1, Man-Spider, where his own spider DNA goes haywire and starts turning him into something half human, half monster. Answer 2, the Black Suit, that legendary symbiote finally crawling into this universe. And answer 3, the one nobody's really talking about loud enough, a certain mad scientist pulling the strings from the shadows. Today we're breaking down all three, and you're going to decide which one's the strongest. But real quick before we dive in, I actually want to hear your theory on this. Seriously, drop it in the comments right now, because I read every single one and I love talking this stuff out with you guys. And hey, do me a favor and leave a like on this video. I'm aiming for 10. Yeah, 10. Not 10,000, just 10. Because let's be honest, this channel doesn't get much love yet. So help a guy out, hit that like, subscribe, and let's build this spider family together. Alright, let's get into it. So let's start with what we actually saw, because this is where it all begins. In one of the alternate trailers, there's this fight between Spider-Man and Scorpion, and at first, Scorpion's winning, he's got the upper hand, but then something happens. Peter's eyes go completely black, and the second that happens, he loses control, and suddenly he's something like 10 to 20 times stronger than before. He goes right through Scorpion like he's nothing. Beats him down to the point where it gets genuinely scary, and there's another scene, in a prison, where he's fighting those ninja guys, the Hand. Same thing. He's getting beaten at first, then the power takes over his body and he just plows through all of them. So the big question is, what is doing this to him? What's blacking out his eyes and cranking his strength up 20 times? Let's break down the three suspects. Suspect number 1, and the most likely based on the trailers, Man-Spider. This is the idea that Peter's mutation, his own DNA, is turning against him, and this isn't made up. It's a real comic concept. The first time we saw it was way back in 1984, when Peter got temporarily turned into this bestial half-human, half-spider creature. But the version everyone remembers is from the old 1994 cartoon. In that show, Dr. Connors discovered something terrifying, that the spider bite never actually stopped working. Peter's body was slowly, quietly mutating this whole time, and the first symptom, he started losing his powers. Sound familiar? Because in the trailer, that's exactly what's happening. Peter's questioning his body, he goes to Banner for help, something's clearly going wrong inside him. There was even a comic arc in 2004 where a villain woke up a sleeping gene inside Peter and slowly turned him into a full spider, black segmented eyes and all. And those black eyes, that's the exact thing we see in the Scorpion fight. So the blacked out eyes, the new organic webbing, the cocoon, it all lines up perfectly with the Man-Spider transformation. If you ask me, this is the strongest of the three. The trailer is basically screaming it. Now suspect number 2, and this is the one fans want the most, the Black Suit, the symbiote. Here's the theory. Remember in No Way Home, a tiny piece of venom got left behind in this universe? Damage control supposedly grabbed it. Now if that little symbiote piece bonded with Peter, it would explain the boost in power, the aggression, the loss of control. The symbiote makes you stronger, faster, but it also feeds your dark side and slowly takes you over. And honestly, those black eyes and that rage, it does kind of look like classic symbiote behavior. And here's a fun detail. Remember how Venom basically drooled when he saw Spider-Man? That's because Peter's mutated body produces these hormones that are like a 5-star meal for a symbiote. So if Peter's mutation ramps up, he'd become even more irresistible to it. A symbiote that knows Spider-Man would absolutely want to dig in and grow. But hold on, because here's where I have to be honest with you. There are some real problems with the symbiote theory. First, that piece of venom was tiny. It would take a long time to grow big enough to actually take over Peter, like the whole movie. Second, in the trailer, Peter's shooting webs from on top of his hands, not from his wrists like the symbiote usually does. And here's the big one, the thing that's been bugging me from the start. We're told Sadie Sink's character, probably Jean Grey, can mess with Peter's mind. But symbiotes, they're actually really resistant to telepathy. That hive-mind connection gives them serious mental defense. So if Peter had a symbiote in him, Jean shouldn't be able to get into his head so easily. See the contradiction? That's why I'm not fully sold on the Venom theory, even though it's the popular one. Quick pause. Which theory are you leaning towards so far? Man-Spider or the Black Suit? Let me know down below. And by the way, while you're thinking, who do you want me to cover in the next video? Drop a character name. I'm always reading, and I genuinely talk back to you guys in the comments. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff, the part nobody's really digging into. Suspect number 3, the Dark Horse, the Jackal. And stick with me, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. So in some behind-the-scenes footage, There's a car scene, and you can spot the license plate. It reads 90-something, specifically a number that points to the Amazing Spider-Man, issue 143. Now why does that matter? Because in that comic, Peter goes to see a character named Miles Warren, who comic fans know as the Jackal, and the Jackal isn't just some random guy. He's a twisted scientist obsessed with genetics and cloning. In the comics, he cloned Gwen Stacy. He's literally the guy who created Ben Reilly by messing with Peter's own DNA. You see where I'm going with this? And here's the wild part. They used this exact same license plate before, in Far From Home. Remember when Peter suddenly saw his old flame, a version of someone he lost, appear out of nowhere? That kind of thing is Jackal's whole deal, messing with genetics, bringing people back, cloning. And in the comics, the Jackal is the one who sends villains like Scorpion and Tarantula after Spider-Man, which is interesting because those are exactly the villains in this movie. So what if the Jackal is the hidden hand behind Peter's mutation? What if he's the one who tampered with Peter's DNA and kicked off this whole transformation? There's even a wild thought going around that Sadie Sink's character could be a clone, the same way Jackal cloned Gwen in the comics. And remember that green Jackal label some fans spotted at MJ's party? Yeah, the clues are stacking up. Now look, I'm not saying I want a big Jackal storyline crammed into this movie. Marvel doesn't show the future to me, I'm just pointing out the clues. And there are a lot of clues. Now imagine being Peter for a second. Your own body is changing, you don't know why, you can't control it, and there might be some scientist out there who did this to you on purpose. That's a nightmare, and it's a really compelling one. So let me pull it all together, because here's where I land. Of these three, Man-Spider is the strongest bet, the trailer points right at it. The symbiote is the fan favorite, but it's got those contradictions I mentioned. And the Jackal is the weakest of the three, but honestly, with all those references, you can't completely rule him out either. My personal guess? The movie leans into the Man-Spider mutation as the main story, maybe with the Jackal quietly behind it, and they plant the symbiote as a seed for later. But that's just me reading the tea leaves. Nobody knows for sure yet. And honestly, here's my one real fear with all of this. I just hope they don't turn this movie into a giant mess. You know what I mean? 3 different transformation theories, a mind-controlling villain, the Hulk, Tombstone, Scorpion, the Hand, that's a lot. My biggest worry is we end up with a movie that's overstuffed and full of plot holes that don't make sense. I really hope they keep it focused, because the pieces are all there for something amazing if they don't drown it in too much at once. Anyway, that's where I'm at. We'll find out the real answer on July 31st, but knowing these clues, you're gonna watch that movie with way sharper eyes than everyone else around you. So tell me down below, which of the 3 is your pick? Man-Spider, the Black Suit, or the Jackal? And which classic Spider-Man story do you want me to break down next? Drop a like, hit subscribe so we can grow this spider family, and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep your eyes open. Sometimes the biggest clue is hiding in a license plate.